we can explore that together.
Let's explore.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So let me know when you guys are ready to do it.
Good.
We're ready to do it.
All
Okay.
right, cool. So what's something meaningful to you that's been on your mind?
Something meaningful to me. I would say storytelling is very meaningful to me.
Storytelling.
Yes.
Okay.
I've become recently very interested in storytelling
Okay.
as an art form, sort of, and I just recently joined the Tejas Storytelling Association, and I recently went to a storytelling festival this year and last year that's hosted here in Denton.
Oh, okay.
And I started thinking about that in a more broader sense of like, why is storytelling important, especially oral storytelling? Just like what role does that play in my life?
Okay, so why is oral storytelling important? That's a good
Yeah. I think it's really important because it makes us feel connected and human. Like we can relate to, I personally love like personal narrative stories because there's always something that happens to someone and you're like, oh my gosh, like all of that, you know?
So
and
like
so you feel,
relatability.
yes, it's very relatable, and it's also a way to discover different parts about yourself, even complex things, you know, whether it be something sad that's happened or frustrating or just the storytelling is a very unique way.
So it helps us relate to other people.
To other people and to other situations and to different parts of the world, different life experiences, just all these different things. And so there's something unique about being able to tell a story to someone. It's very like I don't know about you, but have you ever met someone and you're like, God, I really love that person. And it's, maybe they're funny or whatever, but it's like, God, they could tell a story, right? Like there's something, you're like super intrigued because they've told this great tall tale or a funny joke, or like, there's just something like that you can't get them out of your mind later. Like you find yourself replaying that.
Okay. So let's try to get that down to a claim. Storytelling is important.
Okay, yes. You want me to make that?
Yeah, let's try to phrase that into a
phrase
claim somehow. Then can specifically. So storytelling is important because it allows us to relate to others like on a deeper level.
Yes,
that would be a good claim.
Yeah, I think that's a great claim.
Okay.
You could say that. One could say that.
Okay. And so on a scale of, let's just do 1 to 100.
Okay.
1 being not convinced at all.
Okay.
And 100 being I'm completely convinced this is absolutely the case.
Okay.
Where would you fall on that scale?
I'd say 95%.
95%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Cool. So this is it's a pretty impactful thing, and you said you've been recently exploring it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's good. Yeah.
So in storytelling, I'm going to try to define some terms here. We've talked about narrative storytelling.
Yeah, I tend to be more attracted to personal narrative stories because there's like, is it true? You know, obviously there's creative storytelling, which is also equally exciting and whatever. But God, there's just something about someone's personal narrative.
Okay, and so you brought up the word true.
Yes, like a true story.
Right. So can somebody use narrative storytelling to like share falsehoods?
Yes, in fact, there's a type of storytelling that's called liars. It's called like a liar's something. I didn't attend those, but the whole concept is that people are training and lying, and so you're trying to decipher as an audience whether or not they're lying or telling the truth. Okay. So it's a really different type of storytelling.
That's interesting. What is it called again?
It's called oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look this up. It's like liars something. It's literally called liars something, like liars storytelling or liars.
So, and how would you be able to determine like how somebody, like which one they're using, if they're telling you a true narrative?
Right. Generally, most of the tellers that I was attending would actually say, they would introduce themselves and then they would say, this is a story that I'm retelling, or this is a story that's a personal narrative. So you would know, the audience they would generally tell the audience.
So this is kind of like in a, this is a setup presentation, so people kind of know what they're getting into.
Exactly.
Do people use this like out in like the real world, or like
I do. I tell stories all the time. In fact, I will tell you, I used to substitute teach, and there's nothing more captivating than telling the children, oh wait, I'm going to tell y'all something. You do not know pain and shame like being a teenager in the 90s, you know? And I'm telling you, you can hear a pin drop because every kid wants to know, you know? And in fact, I just told my 9-year-old son this story about when I was in middle school. I had a sub, and the sub was like probably like, I don't know, 75 years old, real old. And everybody loved a sub day because you knew you just didn't have to do anything, right? You're like, yes, we can just do nothing, right? And I used to sit next to this kid, and he was like completely infatuated with me. And I remember just being so embarrassed because I looked over and he had written on his hand,
oh no,
in a black Sharpie marker, oh yes, I-L-U-V, love. And then my name's Keri, but it was like K-E-R-I. And I was like, oh, no. And he was like, no. I was like, shh. You know, and then the old sub, she walks up, now, Sonny, what's going on here? I was like, nothing's going on here, ma'am. Nothing's going on. He proceeds to stand up then on the desk and professes undying love to me in the middle of class. It was horrifying. And I was like, please, miss, just make him sit down. And she's like, are you kidding me? I get paid like $10 an hour. I haven't seen a profession of love like this since 1960. Continue, you know? And my 9-year-old son was just completely captivated by that. Because first of all, what, you are something beyond my ma. Like, you know, what, you went to middle school? Like, right. You know, just all these, so you can relate to like all these social kind of complex.
Right, circumstances.
Situational type topics, I think.
So is there anything that you could learn about storytelling and its efficacy and being able to relate to people that would make you more confident that storytelling is? I
think you're more empathetic when you are presented material in a meaningful way, and it's deeply moving to hear what people have gone through. Like, one of the storytellers talked about how he was from a very poor part of Mexico, and that there was a lot of political struggle in his own life, and how his dad was an alcoholic and he struggled in all these ways. And he told this extremely interesting story about how he had to go to the markets to sell these dolls. And, you know, even though he was talking about things that maybe not everybody could relate to, at the end everyone felt very moved by his story, and we felt empathetic towards him. Empathy and a sense of pride. Like, he was like, look, I'm on a podcast, I have all these things, and storytelling did this for me. Like, you know, it's just this really, so yes, I do think that.
So if people showcase more empathy,
yes,
that would make you more convinced. Like, if everybody was able to evoke empathy from storytelling.
Yes.
So
because when you feel connected to someone, they're not objectified anymore, right? They're no longer an object, they're a person, right? And you suddenly, I do think with social media and all of that, that's why there's so much of that intense sort of negativity, because you're removing the human aspect. It's so easy for me to say, God, I really hate that dog on your t-shirt, man, that is stupid, right? But I would never actually tell you if I walked up to you, man, that dog shirt's stupid, man, why are you wearing that? No one would, or at least polite people wouldn't do that. But man, would they ever feel the need to tell you that online, right?
It's true. But there's that boundary, right?
That's right. Yeah. And so it's just, I think that the storytelling is uniquely human. All cultures, all parts of the world have been, some histories are all oral even, which is interesting, I think, to think about. So it is very important in the canon of what we do as people.
So, and on the flip side, is there anything that you could learn that would make you think differently about storytelling or narrative, and that maybe it would cause more harm or wouldn't cause people to come together?
I think so. I think if you have a topic that's already sort of divisive, you're already playing with fire. It would be more complex, right? I think that, I don't know that it would cause harm, but I think when you're delivering as a person who's telling the story, you also have to think of your audience and what you're trying to convey. So if the person trying to convey that is trying to invoke fear or tension or anger, then maybe that could definitely, like politicians, right? If you think, just let's say politicians, if I asked any politician, would you consider yourself a storyteller or just a politician or both? I can't imagine any of them not saying both, because they are performing a lot of times they're performing, even if it's scripted, right? There's an element of storytelling. There's always that. Teaching is storytelling, acting is storytelling, politicians are storytellers. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you're asking, like, what is something you're really passionate about, or what is storytelling touches us in all these different ways and these complex ways. But yes, it can. Yes, so
like invoke.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Negative emotions, or you might be able to think
of
some
of many politicians that have done this type of storytelling that it can evoke this kind of response.
Yeah, negative response.
Yeah. So of course, like everything else, I think there can be a negative and a positive.
Right. So you think maybe the goal of the storytelling is like to be what's important.
Right. Your delivery of the message. What is the message you are telling to a captive audience?
That's awesome.
Yeah. This is a good talk.
Is there anything
else that you want to talk about?
think we should explore?
Can y'all slim me down, make me a little
No,
thinner?
You may have said it already, but I was curious, what's the main reason that gets you to 95?
And not to 100?
Yeah. What's that 5% that's holding you back?
The 5% I feel like is just because of like exactly what you said. Maybe that it's this inner knowing that there could always be this negative about it, like it could be misused, misguided, or bad intentions. So I think that's probably why I would rank it at like 95 versus 100, because you can't always, plus you don't know how someone's going to react. How is the captive audience going to receive things or interpret it? Because if I hear a story that I feel is sad, it's because something in my personal life is filtered through that, and therefore it's sad. If you hear this story, you may not feel like it's as sad because maybe a dog bit you and you don't really like dogs, so you're not too upset that the dog died. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that that's why I'm holding back and not saying it's 100%, you know, because it's got to have like a margin of error. Can I just be that guy that gives the little buffer thing or whatever?
And what's the main reason that gets you to 95?
Because I think we are literally, if I had to think about how do I define my life, what am I? Once I die, I literally am just a story. I am the story of me. This is a chapter of me. So I feel like that's why it's important.
Why is that a good reason to be that high in
Because since I value storytelling, I want to give it a higher value, to place a higher value on it. And then the 5% is just of me going, there could be some argument, you know, there's the other side to that, like that it could be negative.
Right.
I'm not saying you couldn't convince me to go to 100 though. I mean, I'll hear your story, man. Like, you can convince me, tell me why. Like, what do I need for the next 5%? Like,
yeah. So, are you kind of under the, because I know you said like it gets you to 95, but it could go either way. Like somebody could use it for negative intentions,
right. Like,
to divide people.
Yes, which we see all the time. But it's still, to talk about storytelling is to make people aware that, oh gosh, I am part of a captive audience. What does that mean? What does a captive audience mean? It means you are listening and this is what's being fed to you. You can choose to chew it, swallow it, and digest it, or you can choose to go, you know what, I'm not loving all the food you're shoving down my throat. You know what I mean? Like, or proverbial food, whatever it is, information, whatever that is. So I guess that's why.
So
did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that's a good way
of interpreting that.
Yeah, I think you did a good job. And then, how would your life be different without storytelling? What do you think it would?
First of all of my girls' nights would be boring. Can I say bad words on here? Is this an adult only?
Yeah.
Oh God, thank God. Because I mean, I cuss. First of all, I cuss like a sailor. So I mean, it's been a full 10 minutes. All the girls' nights would have been shit. Like storytelling is everything. I've got so many good stories. I mean, it is crazy. I have made people like laugh until the tears are pouring out of their face. Because there's a lot of humor in it too. And I feel like we're all just under so much stress all the time. It's so serious, like all the time. And so, nothing is better than good gossip. We know this. This is why people watch reality TV. I don't, because I can't stand it, but whatever. Millions of people are watching the reality TV, which is not, by the way, reality. Can I just say it's so scripted, but it's okay. I hate to ruin it for you guys, but the Real Housewives of Georgia or whatever is very scripted.
Yeah.
There's an entire crew of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things would be a little more boring.
Yeah. But we like the idea of it, right? We're like, but it just seems so authentic. So yeah, storytelling. If I did not have stories, I would literally not make it. Like, I mean, best part of my day is like talking to my husband for a little bit and telling him some good story that happened. Or when my son, I have 2 boys and one of them come home and tell me something about their day. Like that's it, right? Like, I was just telling my friend Jamie here, like my 9-year-old son came home. I have 2 boys. It's like having I have like a mako shark and a dolphin. Like one's really, they're so different, and they're 8 years apart. But the little one came home the other day, and he's growing his hair out like Kurt Cobain, so he like flicks his hair, and he goes, "Ma!" Like when he walks in, he goes, "Ma!" And I go, "Yeah." He starts unloading his backpack. I go, "What you got in there?" He goes, "I got 10 bags of Takis." I said, "Takis? We don't even eat those. What are you doing with the Takis?" And he goes, and I said, "First of all, where did you get the money to buy the Takis from school?" And he goes, "I took my birthday money." I said, "You took your birthday money to school?" "Yeah." "Where'd you get the Takis from?" He goes, "The 5th grade girls, they're selling them for some sort of cheerleading thing." And Evan, he only bought 2. So I busted out my $10 bill and said, "I'll take all 10. I said, "Uh-huh. And you bought them from the 5th grade girls?" "Yeah." "Why did you buy 10 bags?" "Well, Evan bought 2. I had to buy more." I'm like, "Okay, no, like we don't even eat these." But it was just so funny because it's like all these little stories that make up who we are. Your children, your spouse, ex-boyfriend. God, we could talk hours about exes and stuff. I'm sure you got some good ones that you could tell me,
Under
or not
wraps.
tell me, or not want to tell me, or here's my one thing I will say. If ever you want to talk, listen, Taylor Swift, Swift. Everybody loves her, but I have to say it's kind of tacky that she kisses and tells.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Why can't you just, you know what I do? I call them all Jake. Every single guy is Jake.
So in that circumstance,
Yeah.
the storytelling,
There you go,
maybe...
Boom, it's all
5%.
Swift's fault. God, Swift, you're perfect
Okay.
in every way. She's literally perfect. She is like if you're watching Tay, you're gorgeous. I love your music. But good Lord, Ma, everybody knows when you tell the story about the guy, you call them all Jake. They're literally Jake. I've never dated a single Jake, but they're all Jake. Because then you can talk about them all you want, and nobody knows. You don't say a last name, just Jake. She should create a song and just call it Jake. Ode to Jake. So yeah, right. There's the 5%.
There's the 5%.
Because there's always like that. There is some sort of negative about it, Yeah. But nothing but love for her. She's gorgeous. She sings.
She's making money.
She's
doing
kind
good.
to people, and I like that about her. She's kind. Yeah. Anyway, so but she can't be perfect, right? So that's her one thing. Yeah. I'm a little chubby. I got my stuff too, so. But I cussed too much. But I did good on this. I didn't cuss too bad.
Well,
thank you.
So it was nice meeting you.
It was so nice meeting you.
What was your name again?
Keri.
Can I spell
Sure,
that?
it's Keri. Oh.
K-E.
K-E.
All right, that's what I was making sure you spelled it right. Keri.
Uh-huh.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so
you.
much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good luck with it.